The Law of One, Session 97, September 15, 1982.
Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now.
Questioner, could you first please give me the condition of the instrument?
Ra, I am Ra. It is as previously stated.
Questioner, what's the situation with our fifth density negative friend?
Ra, I am Ra. It is as previously stated.
Questioner, I've been doing some consideration of the appearance of the hawk and have made this analysis of the bird in card 3. The bird is a message from the higher self, and the position of the wings in card 3, one wing pointing toward the female, indicates that it is a message to the female acting as catalyst for the mind. The position of the downward wing indicates that the message is of a negative or of a nature indicating the inappropriateness of certain mental activity or plan. Would Ra comment on that?
Ra, I am Ra. No.
Questioner, is the reason for this lack of comment the first distortion?
Ra, I am Ra. This is correct.
Questioner, I have analyzed the hawk that I saw immediately after returning from the house in Atlanta as a message, most probably from my higher self, indicating that the plan of moving was not the best, was not too appropriate since, without the hawk, everything would have continued as planned with no added catalyst. This single catalyst of a remarkable nature then, logically, from my point of view, could only mean that there was a message as to the inappropriateness of the plan for some reason yet to be discovered. Would Ra comment on that?
Ra, I am Ra. We tread as close as possible to the law of confusion in suggesting that not all winged creatures have an archetypical meaning. We might suggest that the noticing of shared subjectively notable phenomena is common when, in another incarnational experience, work significant to the service of increased polarity has been shared. These subjectively interesting shared phenomena then act as a means of communication, the nature of which cannot be discussed by those outside of the shared incarnational experience without the interference with the free will of each entity involved in the complex of subjectively meaningful events.
Questioner, can Ra please tell us the source of the unusual odor in this room this morning?
Ra, I am Ra. There are two components to this odor. One is, as has been surmised, the decomposing physical vehicle of one of your second-density rodentia. The second is an elemental which is attempting to take up residence within the putrefying remains of this small creature. The cleansing of the room and the burning of the incense has discouraged the elemental. The process of decomposition shall, in a short period of your space/time, remove the less than harmonious sensations provided for the nose.
Questioner, I find myself presently in a difficult position of decision, primarily because of the appearance of the aforementioned hawk after our return from Atlanta. The only objective of any value at all is the work that we are doing, which includes not only the contact but communication and dissemination of information to those who might request it. Since the move was connected with that, and since the hawk was, to me, obviously a function of that process, I am at present in a quandary with respect to the optimal situation, since I have not yet decided definitely on the significance of the hawk or the advantages or efficaciousness of the move, and do not want to create a process which is basically irreversible if it is going to result in a lack of our ability to be of service to those who would seek that which we are able to manifest through our efforts here. Would Ra comment on that situation?
Ra, I am Ra. The questioner presumes much, and to comment is an infringement upon its free will. We may suggest the pondering of our previous comments regarding the winged creatures of which you speak. We repeat that any place of working, properly prepared by this group, is acceptable to Ra. The discrimination of choice is yours.
Questioner, are there any items in the first 4 cards not of Ra's intention that we could remove to present a less confusing card as we make our new drawings?
Ra, I am Ra. We find much material in this query which would constitute repetition. May we suggest rephrasing the query?
Questioner, possibly I didn't phrase that the way I meant to, which was, we already have determined the items that should be removed from the first 4 cards. The question was, have I missed anything that should be removed which were not of Ra's original intention in the last few sessions of determining what should be removed?
Ra, I am Ra. We shall repeat our opinion that there are several concepts which, in each image, are astrologically based. However, these concepts are not without merit within the concept complex intended by Ra, given the perception by the student of these concepts in an appropriate manner. We wish not to form that which may be considered by any mind/body/spirit complex to be a complete and infallible series of images. There is a substantial point to be made in this regard. We have been, with the questioner's aid, investigating the concept complexes of the great architecture of the archetypical mind. To more clearly grasp the nature, the process, and the purpose of archetypes, Ra provided a series of concept complexes. In no way whatsoever should we, as humble messengers of the one infinite Creator, wish to place before the consideration of any mind/body/spirit complex which seeks its evolution the palest tint of the idea that these images are anything but a resource for working in the area of the development of the faith and the will. To put this into perspective, we must gaze then at the stunning mystery of the one infinite Creator. The archetypical mind does not resolve any paradox or bring all into unity. This is not the property of any resource which is of the third density. Therefore, may we ask the student to look up from inward working and behold the glory, the might, the majesty, the mystery, and the peace of oneness. Let no consideration of bird or beast, darkness, or light, shape or shadow keep any which seeks from the central consideration of unity. We are not messengers of the complex. We bring the message of unity. In this perspective only may we affirm the value to the seeker of adepthood of the grasping, articulating, and use of this resource of the deep mind exemplified by the concept complexes of the archetypes.
Questioner, thank you. Card number 5, the significator of the mind, indicates, firstly, as I see it, simply a male within a rectangularly structured form. This suggests to me that the significator of the mind in third density is well bounded within the illusion, as is also suggested by the fact that the base of the male is a rectangular form showing no ability for movement. Would Ra comment on that?
Ra, I am Ra. O student, you have grasped the barest essence of the nature of the significator's complete envelopment within the rectangle. Consider for the self, O student, whether your thoughts can walk. The abilities of the most finely honed mentality shall not be known without the use of the physical vehicle which you call the body. Through the mouth the mind may speak. Through the limbs the mind may effect action.
Questioner, the entity looks to the left, indicating that the mind has the tendency to notice more easily the negative catalyst or negative essence of its environment. Would Ra comment on that observation?
Ra, I am Ra. This is substantially correct.
Questioner, there are 2 small entities at the bottom of the seat, one black and one white. I would first ask Ra, is this drawing correct in the coloring? Is the black one in the proper position with respect to Ra's original drawings?
Ra, I am Ra. That which you perceive as black was first red. Other than this difference, the beings in the concept complex are placed correctly.
Questioner, The red coloration is a mystery to me then. We had originally decided that these represented polarization of the mind, either positive or negative, as its significant self would be either significant as one or the other polarity. Would Ra comment on that?
Ra, I am Ra. The indications of polarity are as presumed by the questioner. The symbolism of old for the left-hand path was the russet coloration.
Questioner, would.
Ra, we shall pause at this time if the questioner will be patient. There are fairly serious difficulties with the instrument's throat. We shall attempt to ameliorate the situation and suggest the rewalking of the circle of one. Cough. Cough. The circle of one was rewalked and breath expelled 2 feet above the instrument's head. I am Ra. Please continue.
Questioner, what was the nature of the problem? What caused it?
Ra, I am Ra. The fifth density entity which greets this instrument affected a previous difficulty distorting the throat and chest area of the instrument. Some fraction of this distortion remained unmentioned by the instrument. It is helpful if the instrument speaks as clearly as possible to the support group of any difficulties that more care may be taken. However, we find very little distortion left in the chest area of the instrument. However, immediately preceding the working the instrument was offered an extreme activation of what you may call the allergies, and the mucus from the flow which this distortion causes began to cause difficulty to the throat. At this juncture the previous potential for the tightening of the throat was somewhat activated by reflex of the yellow ray, chemical body over which we have only gross control. We would appreciate your reminding us to cause this instrument to cough before or after each query for the remainder of this working. Once conscious, this instrument should have no serious difficulty.
Questioner, I was wondering why the dark entity was on the right side of the card as far as the male figure, which is the significator, is concerned, and the light white entity is on the left. If you could comment on that after making the instrument cough, please.
Ra, cough. The nature of. We pause. 10-second pause. I am Ra. There was a serious pain flare. We may now continue. The nature of polarity is interesting in that those experiences offered to the significator as positive frequently become recorded as productive of biases which may be seen to be negative, whereas the fruit of those experiences apparently negative is frequently found to be helpful in the development of the service to others bias. As this is perhaps the guiding characteristic of that which the mind processes and records, these symbols of polarity have thusly been placed. You may note that the hands of the central image indicate the appropriate bias for right and left hand working, that is, the right hand gestures in service to others, offering its light outward. The left hand attempts to absorb the power of the spirit and point it for its use alone.
Questioner, the 8 cartouches at the bottom would possibly signify the energy centers and the evolution through those centers, possibility for either the positive or negative polarization because of the white and black coloration of the figures. Would Ra comment on that after making the instrument cough?
Ra, cough. I am Ra. The observations of the student are perceptive. It is informative to continue the study of octaves in association with this concept complex. Many are the octaves of a mind/body/spirit complex as beingness. There is not one that does not profit from being pondered in connection with the considerations of the nature of the development of polarity exemplified by the concept complex of your card number 5.
Questioner, do the symbols on the face of each of these little cartouches such as the birds and the other symbols have a meaning in this card that is of value in considering the archetype? Would you answer that after making the instrument cough, please?
Ra, cough. I am Ra. These symbols are letters and words much as your language would receive such an entablature. They are, to a great extent, enculturated by a people not of your generation. Let us, in the rough, suggest that the information written upon these cartouches be understood to be such as the phrase, "and you shall be born again to eternal life."
Questioner, thank you. I thought that the wings at the top of the card might indicate the protection of the spirit over the process of evolution. Would Ra comment on that after having the instrument cough?
Ra, cough. I am Ra. We shall end this session for we are having considerable difficulty in using the sympathetic nervous system in order to aid the instrument in providing sufficient of your air for its respiration. Therefore, we prematurely suggest ending this session. Is there any brief query before we leave this instrument?
Questioner, it's not necessary to answer this if you want to end right now for the instrument's benefit, but is there anything we can do to improve the contact or make the instrument more comfortable?
Ra, I am Ra. All is well. The support group functions well. It is suggested that the instrument be encouraged to take steps to recover completely from the distortion towards the aching of the throat and, to a lesser extent, the chest. There is no way in which we or you may remove that working which has been done. It simply must be removed by physical recovery of the normal distortion. This is not easy due to this instrument's tendency towards allergy. The alignments are being carefully considered. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, glorying and rejoicing in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Go forth, then, in the great dance, empowered by the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.